Hey, gamers, trainers, Pokémon. Welcome to another episode of Pokémon's Health. Pokemon meets Men's Health. I'm your host, Roy Flash Gordon, here with Patrick Connors, winner of NAIC 24. How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk about men's health and Pokemon, two
Hey.
things that I do care a lot about.
I really appreciate you
Yeah.
joining here and super excited to chat with you. Folks, just a reminder hopping into the Discord. If you are looking for any additional support in life, we talk about fitness there. Of course, we talk about the game there and just generally supporting each other to get our goals both inside and outside of the Pokemon world. If you're interested in getting that additional support, make sure you hop on into our Discord. You will see the link in the description. That said, we'll go ahead and hop on in with Patrick. Patrick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, how old are you, what do you do for a living?
So I am from like Jacksonville, Florida area. I was born and raised there. Was there pretty much my whole life, and then I moved to Orlando, Florida, about 4 years ago to start my undergrad journey at UCF. I'm 22, which I guess you can kind of figure out by saying I guess I moved here at 18, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm 22, and currently I am a full-time law student. I am a 2L, so I am like halfway through my law school, my grad school journey, which is definitely a fun thing. But yeah, so just full-time student, and I guess aspiring attorney eventually. Whenever I get done with the 3 years post undergrad work, and then actually pass the bar, hopefully. Cross my fingers.
No, you're gonna get it done,
Yeah,
dude. You're gonna
for
get it
sure.
done. You're on the grind, dude. Super cool. And why don't you tell us about how you got started in Pokemon, like all the way to the beginning? How did you
Okay.
get into it, your first gen, and basically how you built your way all the way up to today?
Okay, so I started like playing Pokemon when I was really young. I think it was my first video game that I ever played, like 4 or 5. And the main reason I got into Pokemon was because my older brother, Daniel, who I love and wanted to like hang out with, was a part of that like first generation of Pokemon, like Red and Blue, like
Mm.
90s kids Pokemon. So as early as I could like use my thumbs, I started playing Pokemon. So I think my first game was Pokemon Leaf Green. I started playing that before I could even read. So really, my brother beat it for me, and I just kind of watched him play. But I think the first like game that I actually played on my own and like beat on my own were Diamond and Pearl was Gen 4. But yeah, I got into Pokemon when I was really young. Basically just to hang out with my older brother who I looked up to, and then also just have that common hobby with him. And I guess for both of us, actually, we both still play Pokemon to this day and bond over it. So that was my start with the game
It's beautiful, and I think everyone will remember, especially there at NAIC, your family coming down to
for sure.
support you when you made it to the finals match. Super
Mhm.
memorable moment, and definitely interested in asking you a little bit more about that as we chat. But how did you kind of go from getting started as a kid to NAIC champion? When did you get into competitive?
So I actually started competitive like I think I learned about competitive only after I got out of high school. So throughout high school, I did like traditional athletics, loved competing in other things like mostly like physical sports. Like I was a wrestler, a weightlifter, and a football player. So I really enjoyed sports. And I always like played Pokemon casually, but figured out there was a competitive scene right around like when COVID started, when everyone was at home. We couldn't really do anything outside the house. And I found people like Wolfie and Cybertron and was like, oh, I could probably like do this as like a fun little side hobby. So I started laddering back in like Sword and Shield and basically just played online ladder and showdown on and off from like 18 to about 21, just kind of taking it casually. There weren't any like in-person events at that time. And when the in-person events came back in 2022, I was planning on going to the regionals in Orlando in 2022. But due to our state having no COVID policy, TPCI decided that they would not host a regionals in Orlando. So I missed out on that first one that I was going to be able to do because of Florida being stubborn and not wanting to do mask requirements. And then I got my official start competing though in 2023. So my first regional was Orlando 2023. And that's when I really started falling in love with the game. That's whenever I probably started playing a little bit too much Pokemon. And it taught me like a different way to appreciate the game. It gave me like my love of competition back from like when I was younger, grew up playing like sports and other things like that. So something I kind of lost. And that like 18, I guess I would have been like 20 when the Orlando regionals happened. So I didn't really have any competitive outlet. Was a little like bummed about that because I think competition for me is a really good escape. It's a really healthy outlet. So like it gives me a place to kind of like um motivate myself in ways outside of just my career to take steps outside of just, constantly doing like the traditional kind of grind of school, jobs, those kind of things that we're expected to do in society, and gives you just that fun outlet that kind of makes you feel like a big kid again. You just get to have fun. You get to play a game and try to be the best at it. So I fell in love definitely with it around 2023 when I started competing in person. Started going to locals a lot, built a really good community of friends in Florida, and just kind of just attended locals mostly. And then this season, I think is definitely going to be my biggest season competing because I've only been to two ICs and three regionals so far in my career, so I'm still pretty fresh, pretty new.
Yeah, and it's super cool to see, super inspirational for other early players. Like, hey, it's attainable. Surely there's a lot of fucking work put into it, though.
Oh, for
So
sure.
what do you credit to your kind of success from starting so recently at the in-person events to taking it all back at NAIC?
I think for me, it's habit. Like I kind of integrated Pokemon into like my daily life, into my daily routine. And just kind of treated it like you would like the gym, or you treat it like your job, or things like that, where it's like, okay, I have dedicated time that I'm going to practice towards Pokemon each week, like every week, and just make sure that I'm constantly like putting effort into my betterment, not necessarily like winning or losing, but just learning the game better to your daily life. It doesn't have to be daily, obviously, but in some sort of routine fashion, like just play this many days of games a day, which I did for a long time. Like would queue up on Showdown, play like I would always cap myself, like have a minimum and maximum of games I'd try to play in a day. So I'd usually go between like 3 and 5, just play like 3 to 5 games in a day where I could find the time between my normal obligations and just kind of do that very regularly. And just practice kind of makes perfect. You get integrated into your schedule and it becomes a lot more natural. You start seeing the game, I guess, in a lot more of like a holistic sense the more you're exposed to it. There's really like no, I guess, shortcut other than just time practice.
But yeah, that's super dope. So what was it like? Yeah, just like this might be the first time I've had someone on the podcast that like made a run
Mm.
and took it all. So like what just was that process like for you, like maybe day of or when you were like, oh shit, like this could be happening during NAIC. Walk us through that. It must have been fun.
It was a lot of fun. It's a tough question because I don't know if like I really ever felt like I was going to win, or that I like it was real until after the fact. Like not even like the moment it happened, but like a week after. Because I was kind of like, I guess, so locked in the moment that I was like not processing what was actually going on and like what I was actually doing. And in like a good way. It helped me play better, helped me perform better under pressure. But um, I think during the entire tournament, I just kind of told myself, I guess I just got to try to win another round.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep winning one round at a time because those spiral, those add up on each other. Like I think I just took it as like little wins along the way. I remember like I went 8-1 day one, and I was like, oh, this is awesome, I'm 8-1. Like this is already an accomplishment. And then I went to day two, and I was winning more and more, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm like making a good day two run. And then I found that I made top eight, and I was like, oh, sick. I made my first top eight. And I kind of just took it like every time I kind of celebrated those little accomplishments, and it made me feel a lot more like, I guess, calm and happy in the moment. But I don't know. It's a really weird feeling. It's a feeling that I don't know if I've ever experienced outside of the NAIC experience. But I would say it's very surreal. It doesn't feel like for me at least, it didn't feel like a real experience until like a week or two after. I was like, oh, looking back, I did this. It wasn't just like, you know, little like random games you want. It's like this is a big thing. This is a cool thing. But yeah, it was weird. That's about the best I could say. Just a weird experience.
Yeah, dude, that's super cool. And people, I think that's helpful to hear. Like taking it a game at a time,
Yeah.
taking it a set at a time, and celebrating that you did what you did. And
Mhm.
I guess it's hard to say because you only lost. Did you only lose the one game and on day one?
No, so I went I think 12-3 into top eight. So I bubbled into top eight. I got lucky with resistance.
Nice.
But I lost one round to Justin Knox. I lost one round to on day two to Justin Burns. And then yeah, I lost to someone else. I don't know why they're slipping my mind.
Yeah.
But I lost like I think I was 12-3 I made cut with. But I think all of those games, except for day one, the day one loss was really bad. All of those games are kind of close, and um, it was a different system with the top eight system. So you're afforded like
Right.
those extra losses in day two, especially going into day two, 8-1. I was able to kind of relax and just say like, if I go like 4-2 in day two, then I have a pretty good chance of cutting because of my
Yeah.
resistance at the time.
Mhm.
So I think I just told myself like one round at a time.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I guess that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, no, I lost three games. So I went in, I think, as the sixth seed. So I was not like the necessary favorite, obviously.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, it's just good, helpful like mindset, like
Mhm.
for the game, how to approach a tournament. If you're, playing well, not to get too high, and if you lose one, like let it roll off your back, not to get too
For
low.
sure.
Super helpful for folks to hear. How about the family experience
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, like I'm sure you've heard it a million times of like
Yeah.
how your dad's on the screen and they're like, he doesn't know that we're here. Like it was crazy to me. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
so cool that they did that for you.
That was super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to hear that your brother is the reason that you even got into this thing. Just
Mhm.
how did that feel like as a family moment?
It was really awesome. So I have like a big family. I am the middle of like five siblings. So my oldest brother wasn't able to attend. His wife was not feeling well, so they weren't able to make the trip. But my sister flew in from like her vacation in Texas to see, and she made like a last minute flight. And my dad, my two little brothers, and my stepmom, they all drove up last minute, surprised me. But in a weird way, it was I mean, I was surprised in the moment, but I'm not surprised because my family's super supportive.
Mm.
They've always been like, they've always like enjoyed seeing me enjoy things, and I think they always enjoyed seeing me competing. My dad very rarely missed like any of my sporting events or even like my academic events because I did do some academic competitions in like high school, middle school as well. But he never really missed many of my competitions. He was always there as like a big supporter because he's probably who I got my competitiveness from. He's a very
Mm.
competitive person.
Yeah.
So he's always there. He's always really riled up. He's probably like the antithesis to me. He's like always super charged up, full of energy, like let's go, rah, like full of like that kind of like flair. And I'm more like laid back and calm. And I think he knew that, which is why I didn't know that they were coming in. He didn't want to get me like riled up and stuff. He wanted me to stay flat and cool.
Sure.
But afterwards we yeah, it was really good. It was nice to celebrate with him. Like I said, he helps me, I think, feel more like pumped up about the things I do because I'm always like I'm a pretty laid back person, which most of my friends will tell you. I'm not really one to feel like too up or down with things. So he kind of helped like in the moment be like, oh my god, this is like such a cool thing. Help me feel like that like raw I won moment whenever I did do well. Yeah.
That's super dope, dude. It's super dope, and just to see the moment, I guess you being in it is different, but to see it is like damn, like that's inspirational. Like this family came through for their guy who's making this tremendous run, and wow, just you could tell it felt
Mhm.
very real. A lot
Oh
of people
yeah.
kind of that have that family experience. So I was just like, wow, like I'd love to chat with this guy someday. It seemed like you have a really solid support system, solid head on your shoulders, and that ability to stay even keeled. I'm sure helps you when you're playing the game. Super dope, dude. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, no problem.
So we talk a little bit of masculinity, and I asked this question slightly differently. Each time today, I think I'm feeling just what would you say? What would you say it's felt like for you to be a man in this world?
It's like it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I think for nah, it's like masculinity's got its goods and bads. I'm like a very masculine presenting dude. And I think I've always like tried to be masculine presenting in everything that I do. Especially when I was younger, like I wanted like I grew up around a bunch of brothers. I grew up um with one of my parents being like really like positive kind of force in my life, my father. So like
Mhm.
I was always surrounded by masculinity. So I kind of felt like a pressure to kind of perform masculinity in like a very traditional sense. So I was always like, into competitive stuff, into like, sports and all those things. And like in my mind, whenever, especially growing up, like before I became an adult, before I started trying to recontextualize what masculinity was for me, I kind of processed masculinity as like you're tough, you're like hardworking, you're like self-sufficient, all these things that are kind of I would argue very alienating. They
Mhm.
kind of make you disassociate from like community and like some of the deep relationships you can have with people. But they're also like attributes that are very like very presented, like they're very heavily kind of performative. And I think those things are things that I still like value. Like I always want to be like a strong person or like a self-sufficient person. But I think a really important part of masculinity is also embracing um, that sometimes masculinity and just trying to be like a man in the traditional sense can really, really push you away from just being empathetic and like sitting down and understanding not just your own feelings, but the feelings of those people around you that make you feel just like you're alone in this world, or you have to be alone, or you know you're not supposed to experience like a full spectrum of emotions. So I guess um, a good experience for me was whenever I left school and I stopped performing in the sense of like I stopped doing sports and I started like stopped engaging in masculine performance, and I had to re-examine like what my masculinity meant outside of just strictly performing masculinity or like doing things that I perceived as masculine. And once I stopped like doing those things like the kind of performative masculinity, I think I came a lot more grounded in what it means for me to be masculine, which I think for me, and I mean, I guess masculine, feminine, it's all kind of fluid anyway. It's like I guess it's very much so on your self perception. But for me, I want to be a kind person and also a strong person. So it's like I want to make sure that like people feel safe around me, people feel like welcome around me, and people feel like they can like rely on me, especially the people I care about and love. So it's like I have that like strong aspect where it's like you can tell I'm um like grounded and like composed, like have that kind of that strength, but also I want to use like my tough experience or my vulnerability to help you feel like you can be vulnerable, so we can
Mhm.
both kind of be tough together. And that just doesn't refer to like men on men or like in like any person, any like gender, any type of person that like is around me. I want them to feel like equally as secure, like you're safe around me, and like you're free to just express your full range of emotions. You're free to be who you are, and like I will respect you. I will treat you with kindness, and I'll try to meet you where you are,
Yeah.
and also like stay true to my beliefs, stay true to like my morals. But in general, just being a kind person, just being like welcoming, trying to preach like just being good to people is something that I really value. That's about all masculinity means to me, is just being good to people, being a strong person who people I love can rely on, and also someone that makes other people feel like safe around me, feel comfortable, feel like they can like if they don't know me, they can just walk to me and say, "Hey, Patrick, what's up?" And I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" Just be approachable, just be like someone that's always welcome to everybody, especially in Pokemon where we have such a diverse cast of people. It's like I want everybody to feel welcome no matter what like sexual orientation, gender, like background you come from, race, ethnicity, anything like that. I want everybody to feel welcome. I think that we should all like prioritize safe spaces in our community and just making sure like everybody is treated with respect and kindness, and that Pokemon's like a silly game that we all play and no one should be like excluded or felt like they can't play the game. So I think that's about it. Just kindness, welcoming, and just making sure people feel secure around me, which is, I guess, a bit repetitive, but
Oh,
yeah.
dude, I love every bit of all of that. And if I can just like just run through some things that really
Mm-hmm.
stood out to me. It was just the isolating nature of feeling like you have to be tough, you have to be self-sufficient, which are good qualities, and like the spinning of that too, being able, like, it's being able to take care of yourself,
Yeah,
really, and which is like feels like, you know, taking care of yourself can mean some stuff that is you alone, but
yeah,
also taking care of yourself is knowing when you don't have it all figured
for
out.
sure.
You don't have this thing done all by yourself, and asking for help, knowing when to ask for help, knowing when to be in community, and the toughness side of it, just not having to be tough and like grit it out, like grind it out, like
Mm-hmm.
no holds barred, you're gonna get the job done, like that I think of toughness, like there's that kind of toughness, and there's just like the grounded strength where
Mm-hmm.
like you are capable, you are like physically strong, and like you have some fortitude to like show up courageously when the occasion might need it. I really loved the kind of like just bringing that, thinking about you and maybe another person, and letting them know, like I have one way I think about it is like I've got the strength to, like, if you need a hand to be pulled up,
Yeah.
whether physically, emotionally, whatever, I can do that for you,
Mm-hmm.
and I can help you be strong also,
Yeah.
if you need that. And I'd love if you had me in that way too, like letting people into your world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that a lot of us, with masculinity, performative masculinity, as you said, like we get this message that that's not it. If you can't do
Yeah.
it alone, you're not, like, quote unquote real man, and
Yeah.
I think it's total bullshit and not helpful.
Yeah.
And
Not at all.
why we see a lot of guys out here, just going through it by themselves, and there's some bad consequences a lot of times, whether it's for other people in their life or for them personally, being self-destructive, and it's tough. So I really appreciate your perspective, like that full spectrum emotion of emotion piece as well. Like, we are so much more than being excited over sports, only crying if like something really bad happens, like someone dies.
Yeah,
There's so much more that we can feel in this world, and I
for
really
sure.
appreciate your acknowledgement of that. Can I ask, maybe before oh yeah, before we get to that part, even the
Mm-hmm.
sports part, the
Mm-hmm.
sports part, love them, love them so much. Like, there's so much we as
Mm-hmm.
kids learn about ourselves. For me personally, playing football, like, I learned about leadership, and I learned about that I was capable of doing things. I was capable of, like,
Mm-hmm.
inspiring and having people around me, and like us having a goal, and going for it together, like so many good things. But we also learn that performative masculinity.
Yeah.
And like, I personally, once I had a similar experience, once I was done with football after high school, I was like, well, shit, what am I now? Like, what am I now? How am I a man? I just feel like floating around in this world, and that you were able to look at that soon after, it sounds like, and really reevaluate what manhood means to you. Super super cool, dude. And I was wondering if you had any times maybe before then, and maybe that was, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how long that time period was, but
Yeah.
did you have any times where you weren't living up to maybe your own standard, or even society's standard of this quote unquote real man thing?
Um, I guess I guess that's a tough question. I I mean, obviously, yeah, right? Like, of
Mm-hmm.
course. But I think, um, like, society does put that pressure on you. But I think for the most part, it's dudes putting pressure on other dudes to
Yeah.
be something that they feel insecure about themselves. So it's like, you like, oh, I'm not like strong enough, or I'm not like toned enough, or I'm not like masculine presenting enough, or like maybe my hobbies aren't as masculine as they should be, or like how I dress isn't as masculine as it should be, or things like that, are like really like strong. But I think a lot of those feelings are honestly perpetuated, obviously, by men to men. Because I
Mm.
mean, men are way harder on men than women are. I think in most
Oh,
cases, I think women let men get away with a lot more probably than men.
yeah.
Yeah, men should get away with. Not probably do. Um, but I mean, there's a lot of like. I think for me, the best I can really describe it as a lot of like my experiences growing up, or me like kind of suppressing, by no other reason than like my own restrictions on myself, things that I enjoyed that were more like effeminate or like traditionally like feminine things. So like I mean, whenever I was younger, I'd like play dolls with my sister. And like my dad was always like, you know, do what you want. Like he was never like a toxically masculine dude. He was always really like, you know, like, oh, play with dolls, you know, play with dolls. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you go around other kids and you hear things like, oh, guys who do that aren't real dudes, or like growing up, just little things that I think I was like interested in that I would like want to learn more about. Like, I love baking. Like, I love making like baked goods. It's a random thing, but like baking's like traditionally like something people perceive as feminine. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of little things like that, you know, you grow up hearing, and it's like, oh, I'm just not going to do those things. It's like more of a feminine thing, and not really even from like my family telling me that, but like just the kids you surround yourself with, and the culture itself that tells you like, oh, this is what men do, and like you want to fit in with the guys around you, and you want to like, you know, perform in that way where it's like even performance, I guess, can also be in the negative. It's not doing things, and for
Mhm.
me, a lot of deconstructing that was after I like moved to college, started my degree. I like tried exploring, I guess, masculine in different ways. I grew out my hair. That is something I never did when I was younger. I never like had my hair longer than like my ears. So it's like dudes don't have long hair. So like
Yeah.
I would always cut my hair. It's like I look more like a guy when I have like short hair, which is like stupid, obviously. But I let my hair grow out, and I was like, oh shit, I love long hair. It's like really nice. I enjoy having my long hair, even if it's not like the traditional like short hair masculine look or whatever. I like spent I think a year like painting my nails to
Oh
kind
yeah.
of make myself more comfortable. Like I had different colors of polish, and I like did it over. I think actually it probably was a little bit less than a year, but I'd like paint my nails and things like that for a little bit, and like I would like get looks and stuff, but it's like I did it honestly in a funny way. As much as to like deconstruct my own masculinity, it made me feel like more of a man when I
Yeah.
was able to like define my own like sense of masculinity and do things that I felt like were things I wanted to do as a person, irrespective of what other people like, or what, not even what other people told me. It's like what I felt like other people wanted out of me.
Mm.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is I think for a lot of men, and that's not always true. There's a lot of different experiences with masculinity, but I think a lot of men's worst enemy is themselves. It's like the person that perpetuates that toxic masculinity most of the time is you, and it's on you to like look at yourself and say, "Hey, I'm being too hard on myself. Like, I'm not letting myself experience like the full range of experiences in life, and I need to like take a step back and ask myself, like, what am I not comfortable doing and why?"
Yes.
And I think that was a lot of my experience. And like this is mostly through like my young adult, late high school age, was just trying to explore different things that I was uncomfortable doing, just to kind of better understood what I actually wanted to do, like the things that I really enjoyed, or the things that I want to do. And funnily enough, I think Pokemon was a part of that as well. As weird as weird
Totally.
as that is to say, because
Mhm.
like whenever you come from like a traditional sports background and you go to like competing in video games, it's
Mhm.
like there's a lot of people who are like, oh no, video games aren't like a real type of like sport and like a real type of performance. It's like you're not using your body, you know what I mean? You're not like using your like physical prowess. You're
Mm.
using like your mind, and that's not something that's as valued like, and I think masculine performative spaces. So I think Pokemon is also a huge part of me deconstructing those toxic parts of my masculinity. So I was like, you know what? Instead of using my body to compete and like try to like win and like perform, I'm gonna use my mind, and I'm gonna like use that um battle of the minds to also like learn myself better, learn my feelings better, like learn my own perspectives better. I think that also helped me along this journey. I know this is like a little disjointed, but I'm kind of like thinking on
No,
the
it's
spot
perfect.
about it.
It's
But
perfect.
yeah, I think it's mainly for me like the talking about the failures and things like that is um I think the biggest failures were just whenever I told myself I couldn't do something because like it was the negative kind of masculinity where it's like you can't do something, it's not something a guy would do.
Yeah.
So I think those are the biggest failures
I
for
feel you, man.
performance. That's failures of myself. That's me
Hmm.
imposing those things on me.
Absolutely. I love your ability to take responsibility for like your own frame
Mm-hmm.
of mind. Like we learn these things or it's kind of conditioned into us, which is like it's tough. But I always like will say with anything, this is a mental health like kind of topic, right? It's anything that has happened to us or is conditioned into us may not be our fault, but it is our responsibility to deal with and make better for ourselves.
for
And the
sure.
big key that you said there is like taking it, realizing that it is within yourself that you have to deal with this, and this is a pressure coming from without.
Mhm.
But within yourself, you could decide that my masculinity, how I do masculinity, and that's the statement that I love the most, right? Is how I do masculinity, as
Yeah.
opposed to this thing that has been dropped in our laps, masculinity, right? It's
Mhm.
like how I do masculinity is something that I'm writing. I'm writing that all the time. I'm creating that all the time. Like, and I want to feel maybe more like myself more than I want to feel like a man as defined by this.
Mhm.
And like you seeing what makes you feel more like yourself, you even trying out like let me try out the long hair, and like yeah, I love this, I feel good like this, trying
Mhm.
out the nails, I feel good like this, playing Pokemon, I feel good like this. That is to me very it's like it's masculine because it's strong, but it's also feminine because everyone's really got to do that. They're going to be
Mhm.
their most authentic biggest version of themselves that really makes them happy. So it sounds like you're doing great work, sir. Like some really great work there. Happy
I
for
appreciate it. I think it's a process though. Like,
yeah.
and I think that's the biggest thing. Is just like yeah, for me, everything that I do is just a process of betterment. So it's like whether it is trying to be like a better man or like a better Pokemon player, or a better student, it's like I just little steps towards being better is what I care the most about. And that could apply also to like relationships, like my partner, my friends, my family, just like being a better son, being a better, partner, being a better friend, just focusing on being a better version of myself is like very important to me. And
Mm.
it sucks. Sometimes it's hard to look at yourself and be like, oh, this thing I'm doing is like perpetuating something I think is like inherently negative. So I got to like take a step
Mm.
back and, like you said, take accountability for yourself and just acknowledge like as much as sometimes external factors are what cause you to like, have certain beliefs or certain negative things. A lot of that's also on you for, accepting the way people tell you things should be and just taking it and just being like, oh, that's the way things have to be if that's the way things are.
Mm.
So
And we can
yeah.
make things be what we want them to be oftentimes, right? There's so much
Yeah,
more in our control that we are willing to admit. And there are things outside of our control, and that's a whole different topic. But there's a
yeah,
lot, if it's about
for
us
sure.
and who we are, how we feel about
Yeah,
ourselves, we can take control of that. And I
that's
really
the only person you can really change is yourself.
Yes, absolutely. That's amazing, dude. Can I ask next, the kind of mental health, emotional health questions?
Mhm.
Have you ever had any struggles with mental, emotional health that you've had to work your way through?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think for me, like my like worst mental struggle has always been my anxiety. Like
Hmm.
I struggle a lot with anxiety. And I mean it's not like anything revolutionary, but that's like my biggest battle, just kind of like trying to do what I already preached, which is grounding yourself and trying to control the things you can control and actually applying that because sometimes you don't win every battle. Like I struggle a ton with anxiety. I've had like physical effects on my body from anxiety. For instance, I've had like alopecia, so which is like a condition where you can like lose patches of your hair on your like head, and a lot of the times that could be like stress induced.
Hmm.
So I have like gotten like stress or like made myself or not made myself. My body feels so anxious that like my body's wanting to like lose hair or
Hmm.
like I made myself so anxious where I've had like panic attacks and things like that. And it's like anxiety is such a struggle. It's like such a it's like a thing that's like a part of you. It's inside of you. It's like it's a chemical thing. It's your body's thing that happens. And I think just learning to like accept that I have it and admit that vulnerability and also lean on the people that I trust to like help me with that and to ground me, not like to make it feel like that's their responsibility, obviously not, but just talking through those feelings has helped me a lot. And just communicating, like I mentioned earlier, weakness. Because I also think that communicating your own weaknesses makes other people feel more comfortable communicating their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And usually people can kind of like, especially if you surround yourself with good people, can kind of like fit like puzzle pieces where like someone's struggle is like different but adjacent to your struggle. So maybe because you guys have like different but like adjacent struggles, you can kind of like learn from each other's ways of like coping through your struggles and make each other better on like the outside of it. But yeah, for me, it's definitely anxiety. Anxiety is like my biggest struggle, my biggest thing to that I've always had to like fight to try to overcome. But honestly, the best thing I could ever really credit to me being able to like win over anxiety in times where I really didn't feel like I could is just having really good friends, and having a good family and just people I can lean on, which is a privilege. It's very much so a privilege and not everybody has. But you can always foster community. If you're a good person and you find good people, usually you can build good relationships. It's not always easy, but there's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of good relationships to be had. You just have to kind of put yourself out there and be vulnerable enough to accept that not all relationships will work. Sometimes your friend's going to hurt you or like other people will hurt you, but majority of people are there, and want to help each other, want to make each other better. And if you find those good people, life becomes a lot easier, even if you do have those struggles. But yeah, for me, like anxiety's definitely been my biggest mental health battle, but I'm winning. I'm still here. So
Oh yeah, there you are, dude. That's amazing. Like I love the focus on community in this conversation as well. We all often come back to community in this chat, and I think community can be you say it's like medicine, and it's like medicine for
for
like so
sure.
many things that people are going through. And I've really impressed with the Pokemon community and how it connects and how inclusive it can be. And amongst gaming communities, we'll all, of course, always have the bad apples in any community, but I can't see any community being more solid than the Pokemon community. So definitely, like I hear anxiety as a common one with people in our community, and to hear that you've got it, you're battling it, and you went to take a big one. Like people don't think it's possible for themselves. I don't even think it's possible for them to play on stream without anxiety coming and ruining their day. So I think it's very
Yeah.
for you to like
Yeah.
give
No,
that
it's
perspective.
true for sure. Like I think my anxiety was like horrible last regionals that I
Mm-hmm.
went to, the Louisville regionals, like
Yeah.
worse than I think it's ever been. And after some self-reflection and asking myself like why was I so anxious? And a bit of a ironic thing talking about earlier in this conversation, I was putting way too much pressure on myself that no one else was putting on me, and that made my experience a lot less fun. So
Yeah.
but taking negative experiences and turning them into a good experience is something that is really good. And I've been doing a lot of thinking since that like negative regional experience, really like negative emotional experience. And I've been feeling a lot better. I feel like I understand myself a little better, which is good. And I think that's an important thing to do is sometimes like your worst days are the ones you learn the most from.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure.
Absolutely. I was curious if you were feeling any pressure to like, all right, I did the
Yeah.
big one and now I gotta like do it again. Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like, yeah, I felt pressure, but it's like all self imposed. No one's like messaging me like you have to do well or else
Yeah.
like your achievements aren't valid or something. That's
Mhm.
something you tell yourself. Like you
Yeah.
you achieve something, you win something, and then you yourself tell yourself like, oh, I need to win the next thing, or like not even just win, I need to do well in some capacity. But doing well is such like a fluid thing.
Mhm.
It's like what is like doing well? I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I've had two regionals since NAIC. Not neither of them bad, really. I went 4-3 at Worlds, dropped because I wasn't playing well. I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
And I was happy I did. I got to explore Hawaii
Oh
and
yeah.
like had a great time. So it was kind of nice.
Mhm.
And then at Louisville, I went 5-3, missed day two by a game, which is fine. Like that happens. But I think for me, something that really actually kind of like got my spark back, like made me stop applying so much pressure to myself is somebody who actually asked me for help, team building and wanted to like work with me on my team, got top eight at Louisville, with my
Wow.
team that I built that he picked up like about a month before. And I think that like made me remember like why I love this game so much, which is sometimes like you may not do well, but if you're like a good enough friend, you're a good enough like teammate, like you're good enough to like people believe in you and you believe in them, good things can happen. Because like my NAIC performance, I had my family was there, like that's true, and like they were always really supportive. But like if you rewatch it, I've got like 12 people there who all like came from Florida my locals like cheering, jumping, screaming like their heads off, like just like so loud. Like I could hear them through my like noise canceling earphones. I could hear them like popping off. And like that was like a big reason why I believed in myself, is because all my friends were there and they were like, we've seen Patrick beat us. He can beat like those players that are like top players from around the world. He's like, he's got this. And it made me believe in myself. And I was able to do that for my friend, Carrie, who got top 8 at Louisville. I was there like telling him like, Carrie, I've seen you play. You are like as good as these people that you are like playing against. You got this. Like, just win another game. Just win one more, win one more. And he kept winning. He kept doing well with the exact same team. We had the same six, same spreads, everything. And I went 5-3, but he got top 8. And in a funny way, I think that may have been like after a bad day one where I was really mentally like down, it may have been like my best regionals experience like I've ever
Yeah.
had, better than my other two that I did well at. My two Orlandos where I both went like either X2 or day two to my Orlando regionals. The other two regionals I've been to, even though I didn't make day two in that regional, I didn't have like an X2 run day one. Like I think that's definitely gonna be when I look the most fondly on, because I saw my friend like believe in me, like bringing a team that I built because he believed in my ability to team build and like believed in my vision, and not just like believe in my vision, but like become a better pilot of the team than I was. Like that was sick to see. That made me so happy. Like to see him like feel my like me motivate him and me like make him feel like he could be better and like execute. So ever since that, I felt like really like kind of that same spark I felt after like my Orlando regionals where I day two and like didn't do too well. Day two was my first day two. I felt like that motivation before, and I feel that again. I feel super motivated to be good again. Like I feel really motivated to like be better, not necessarily like to win or anything. I don't really care about that as much anymore. I really just want to like be better again. It makes me like really feel motivated, and I wouldn't be able to say that without having like awesome friends that surround me. Not just Carrie. Like there's other people that are involved in that team building process. Like really good friends of mine, and also just like my other friends who weren't involved in the team building process that like are just there like supporting me and being like, you know what, like even if that's the only thing you ever do, like win NAIC, you never do well in another Pokemon tournament, who cares? It's like less than 20 people who've won NAIC, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Indeed, bro.
who cares? Exactly. So I have really good friends. I have like, aside from having a really good family, I have really good friends. And those are people that I've like picked, you know, there's people I choose to surround myself with, and they make me want to be better. And seeing my effect, like making like just being a good friend and making my friend want to be better, like just really like kind of got that spark going again. So yeah.
Insane. It's really beautiful that you're able to do that, and clearly a really well respected player. And I was curious, like, what has anything changed about this game for you after NAIC? We talked about the pressure you experienced. We talked about this awesome experience of your friend being able to take a team you created and pilot it better than you did that day. And we also talked about like just that mindset of, and even if that was it, cool. Like it's an amazing
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
accomplishment. Did you have any other like changes to life after winning a big one?
I guess like people know who you are now.
Yeah.
So like that's like a different relationship. So it's like I'll sit down like at a major and people like, you're Patrick. And I'm like, I'm Patrick. And then like I'll have a conversation with them. And I've really actually enjoyed that part of it. Like in a funny way, as much as I do feel a little bit of pressure from like the fact that people know who I am, like I need to play well. Um, I've seen like different people like tweet after I play them, like they'll tweet out like either I beat Patrick or I lost to Patrick, and like he's so nice, and it's like the same
Yes.
thing if I beat them or lose to them, and like that's nice. It's like I'm glad people know me now,
Mhm.
because I want to make sure as like someone that people like perceive, even though I don't perceive myself as this because I don't think I've like done enough yet. Even though like I don't perceive myself as a top player, there's other people who do perceive me as that.
Mhm.
And because of that perception, I've been very conscious of like how I treat those around me, like trying to be respectful, trying to be kind, and make sure that they like understand that like we're both people playing this game. And like I always tell my opponents like you know like even before the set, it sounds a little cliche, but like you got this. It's a new game, and like I'm not perfect. You could beat me, and things like that. Especially if they're acting like they have like that nervous look, and I'm like, oh, just chill out. We're just playing a game. You've played plenty of games before. I'm sure you're going to do your best, and I'll do my best, and let's have a good set. So I think that's like the biggest change is since people know me, I've been very conscious of like, okay, I want to make sure that like as someone who has the responsibility of being looked at as someone like that is like a player that is very good, people like remember me, people know me. I need to make sure that they know me for the right reasons. I don't want to be known as like that player that's like super serious and like, oh my god, they have like that intensity to them where it's like I don't mind that. Like I'm intense whenever I need to be, like when I'm really locked into play. But I want to be known as like just a guy you can walk up to and chat with, even though like I've done this cool thing or like hopefully I do more cool things. I do have other good performances. It's like I always want to make sure people like are free to walk up, take a picture with me, like just, like talk to me, like, hey, like you're Patrick, can we just like talk for a second? Because like that's really important. I just want to like, just be welcoming because I think there's that like little voice in the back of my head that just says like don't be an asshole, like don't have an ego because like you can be confident but don't be like arrogant, and that's like a big thing is making sure like I never let like being successful turn me into someone that I don't want to be.
Mm.
So yeah, that's been a cool thing though. After winning, I've had people like tweet like just played Patrick, he's like so nice, like those little things like make my heart like warm, makes my like make me have little butterflies in my stomach. It's like
Yeah.
I'm just glad. Like I'm glad that like people see me as like a kind dude, like someone they like. He was so friendly. Like I was so surprised. Things like that. It's like that's great. Like that's all I ever want is just to make sure people remember me for being some of those kind, welcoming. Especially with the new like, um, I guess
It more comes
micro celebrity
responsibility.
like yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, like F-list celebrity fame and only in the specific community of Pokemon VGC. But yeah.
No, dude, it's great. I love that you take on the responsibility of being known and wanting to be known for what you said earlier, essentially like the
Yeah,
kindness, someone who's there for people, someone who's
for sure.
reliable for people, and someone who's just a great like figure in the community. And I
Hmm.
appreciate that, bro. Quick, how do you like Reg H, by the way? There's
I think it's awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's super cool. It's
It's
so
really
versatile.
cool.
Really hard for me, I'll say. Just
Really.
lot of stuff that works, and
Yeah.
it's hard to be prepared for me. I'm pretty
Yeah.
new at the game myself.
What events do you have?
I well this I've only done Louisville
Okay.
this current season, and it was really bad. But
It happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll be back. I think it'll be the new regulation by the time I'm back at a regional. But
Yeah.
yeah, just tough. But I've done I did a ton last year. Um, pretty much through all the regulations that happened last year. So it's been like the variance is like, oh damn, like I'm getting good at this one. Oh, it's changing it. Oh,
Yeah.
it's changing it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's changing it. I'd say Reg
I
G was probably pretty solid for me, but
mm.
like, yeah, Reg H has been tough. But
Well,
you're enjoying it?
yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like Pokemon. I like get frustrated. But I think I have like the special ability to kind of treat like the frustration I have with certain things about the metagame and just kind of like turn it into motivation to
Yeah.
like be good into those things. It's like I think my least favorite format I've ever played was Reg G,
Oh,
but it was
really?
my best format.
Yeah.
So and the reason why is because I was like, I hate this metagame. I'm gonna be really good at it because I hate it.
Yeah.
I think it's bad, so I'm just gonna be really good at it.
That's amazing.
And like that like spite like drove me to be better. And
Yeah.
this format, like I hate Sneasler. I hate Sneasler so much.
So rough.
Just specifically Sneasler. Nothing else about this metagame. I think it's perfect otherwise, but I hate Sneasler. Um, but that's made me really motivated to like be able to beat Sneasler
Yeah.
consistently. So that's been nice. But yeah, no, but I mean, good on you though. Like it's really hard to struggle with a metagame and
Mm.
push yourself to continue playing it and push yourself to like continue being better. That's not easy. So like kudos to you. That's sick.
Yeah.
But I only have one more event left. I have LAIC in 2 weeks, so
Cool.
I got the travel award, so I'll be flying to Brazil on
Oh
Pokemon
yeah.
Scholar.
Oh
So
yeah.
that'll be fun. I've never been out of country, so I'm super excited for that. But after that, I actually don't know what I'm doing. I think I'll be
Yeah.
going to Puerto Rico because one of my best friends is Puerto Rican. He has family there, so it's like not too bad of a trip. Also, I live in Florida. It's not
Yeah.
very hard to get to Puerto Rico from Florida. So I should be
Dope.
doing the Puerto Rican special event, and then hopefully they announce the Florida regionals. If not, then like I thought about doing maybe a San Antonio because Texas isn't too hard to get to.
Yeah, of
But I'm a little up in the air. All I know for sure is I'm doing LAIC in Puerto Rico, and I guess NAIC next year.
course.
So
Got to
got to
defend.
try to make the most of it. I've been really hard at prep for LAIC. I feel really good. I think I have a very very good team prepared. I just need to make sure I can execute on the day and keep like optimizing it in the little ways that I need to. I feel really comfortable. I've had really good like um multiple alts on Showdown that I've been able to get to like top 25 like over and over. So like this team's really consistent. I feel really good. I feel like I can do very well, but if I don't, then who cares? I got to go to Brazil.
Hell
So
yeah. Let's
yeah.
go.
But yeah, Reg H is fun though. I think it is frustrating though. I do understand what you mean. Like it's hard to prep for everything. It's like I had that issue at Louisville actually. I rolled our like tougher matchups very regularly, and it was like it was very tough. Like I had games where it's like, oh, I just kind of like I rolled, I got like an easy 2-0, and then like I had to play like sweaty 3 game sets and lose
Yeah.
in 3 games. So, like this like tough variance kind of game where it's like, oh, if I win or lose depends on like if I get crit through my setup or they get the right dire claw roll or things like that,
Yeah.
which is a part of the game. Like my opponents, all the ones that beat me deserve to win, not to like take anything away from them. They beat me fair and square. I 100% deserve to lose to them. But like it's so frustrating. It's a
Yeah.
frustrating game. So like I totally get you. It's like I think if with a little bit less variance, this could be like the perfect meta game, but I still love it. I again though, I just love Mons. I love trying to get better at formats, especially the ones that like have those little things that I hate about them.
Totally. No, dude, that's
Yeah.
a great mindset and definitely just learning from you in that and just like, yeah, yeah. I should like figure it out. Just keep playing. And that's how I'm gonna
Yeah.
get better if I ever want to like, have a really great result. And
Mm.
definitely dedicated to that. And so I appreciate that love, dude. What is it about Pokemon just in general? Let's try to keep it like, maybe outside of the community. That's
Okay.
what the answer always goes. But what do you
Yeah.
like about the just like the content itself of Pokemon?
Okay. Well, the community sucks, so I'll be contrarian there. Horrible. I hate everyone.
I'm starting to
Um,
tell people, everyone, that's all people want to say. I'm like, okay, I should probably be more
sure.
specific.
I'm a bad Pokemon fan. I hate the cards. Like I hate the cards so much. I have like a bunch of cards that I've won like from like locals and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll either like give them to my little brothers. Like whenever
Mhm.
I won NAIC, I gave all my cards to my little brothers, which I'm sure
Mm.
someone's gonna roll their eyes off because it's a lot of money, but like
Yeah.
it made my little brothers happy,
Oh,
so they enjoy
yeah.
the cards. But I have a bunch of cards that I don't want and I've tried to sell. So like I hate cards. I hate the Pokemon card game. I'm not downloading the app.
Not one of those
I'm being
guys.
stubborn. No, no, I don't like the cards. So I can tell you what I don't like. I don't
Yeah.
like the cards. I also don't like Pokemon Go. Um, I really don't like Pokemon Go.
Just not,
Um,
not even to just grab a few shinies.
no, not at all. I think I did like briefly during like COVID times, but I think I did it only because other people were. Because like I
Totally,
don't
I
like
feel
it.
you.
I didn't have fun doing that. It's really easy for me to tell you what I don't like about Pokemon.
Oh, this works too. Give me another two. Let's see another.
Okay, Unite's actually, you know what? Unite I do enjoy. I actually have fun playing
It's
Unite.
fun.
But I
Yeah.
only play it like twice a year, randomly when
Mhm.
my friends get the itch to play it. And then the main series games are fun sometimes. So I do actually enjoy playing through the
Yeah.
games. But other than the main series games, I don't watch the anime either. I don't like the anime. Um, so it really is just the
This
video
man's an
games for me, I
ice
think.
stone cold competitor. Let's go.
Yeah.
I
Such
like it.
you know what? I lie. I love the plushes. I have a bunch of plushes. So
There we go.
yeah.
There
So
we
there
go.
you go. I like my memorabilia. So there's my answer. That's like my favorite thing outside of the games. But I do enjoy like the casual games. I've played a lot of like the older gen games over and over just because I
Mhm.
enjoy playing through the actual games. And I think my favorite Pokemon game is probably Showdown. Um, that's definitely what I have the most hours into. But
Beautiful.
yeah, I'm just
It's
a
nice.
bad Pokemon fan.
Oh, dude, you're great. You're great. It's fun to go back to play the old games just to have the old feel of like,
For
moving
sure,
around in the world and stuff. Like it's very nostalgic, feels like little kid times, which I think all of us could use some of that.
for
It's
sure.
very, very regenerative. Last question of the day. Imagine that there's a person out there, a man out there struggling, and just needs to get through the day with some words of encouragement, what might you say to such a person?
I guess to this vague person, there's gonna be better days. There's always better days. Good days are just the days that make the better days even better. It's nice to have something to kind of look forward to, even if it's a dream, even if it's an idea. Just try to find that thing that like motivates you, keeps you going, and really cling to that, and make sure that like that thing is a positive in your life. Obviously, not like self-destructive habits, but whether it's like you know you do your daily stuff and that daily stuff is really exhausting or like takes a lot out of you, and you just want to like go to the gym and you want to try to like get an extra like rep, or you want to try to work towards that new max or whatever you're like working towards. Just make sure like, or in Pokemon, like you're trying to get that new elo, just make sure you're grounded, like you understand that like maybe you're not immediately going to succeed in the goal that you have and you might fail along the way, but just having a goal sometimes is enough to like to give you something to work towards. So to this like hypothetical person who's struggling, find that thing you want to work towards. Don't focus so much on like whether you actually achieve it or not. Just keep working towards it, because I'm sure that like as long as you aren't like shooting for the sun, um, you're gonna make some progress. You're gonna keep working towards that thing, and sometimes not all goals have to be achieved. I know there's like plenty of things that I want to do that I maybe will never do, but
Yeah.
the fact that I have things that I want to do at least keeps me going. So eventually, I want to do them. So just find things that motivate you. Try to grasp onto those things, and also if you're struggling, um, if you like have anyone around you, just talk to them. And if you don't have anybody, find somebody. There's plenty of communities out there that are welcoming, including this one for the Pokemon players out there. This is a really good community, and I think that you'll find a lot of people that help hold you accountable, and will help you try to be a better version of yourself. Try to work those towards those things, but just be kind to yourself. Understand that so many people fail, but what really sets people who fail apart from the people who succeed isn't that they succeed or fail. It's that they keep going after you end up one of those results. So yeah, that's about all. Just keep going, and make sure to be vulnerable. Reach out to people. Talk through your feelings. I promise you, there's someone out there who cares.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, man. And just really like that having something to work for. It's sometimes, for the right person, maybe something to live for. And
Yeah.
you may not get to the whole goal, but you're going to get out of that rut.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick, dude, thanks so much for joining me today. Great wisdom shared today, whether in the game or just about life. You're super solid, a lot of respect and love, dude. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be on, and I appreciate you letting me yap.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you give it a like, subscribe, or share with someone who you think might get something from the podcast, from the message. My goal is to get this in front of every guy who could possibly need it, so they can not only feel better, but do better and be better for the world.